right. So going in on YouTube. Let's go next on Twitch. Twitch just goes. Doesn't even wait, I don't think. I have to put anything in. And then Facebook. All right. Right. Yeah, this should be good. And then going. All right.
Mike or what's her name? Micah, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Is she coming in?
Well, I have no idea, but she's welcome to join in whenever. Hello, everyone who's just checking in the stream. I'm going to see if it's live on my Facebook. It looks like it is. Yeah. All right. Is Mike or anyone else joining in? Do you know?
I'll check right now. Just give me a second.
Cool.
Uh,
Cool.
let's see.
I'm going to paint stuff.
Anyone gonna join up? Mike.
I'm going to paint stuff. So, we're on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook.
Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Alright. Do I need to man one of them?
No, I'm just letting you know and anyone else know. We can keep this super casual. I don't really think we need to be all.
Yeah, it's a late night stream, so
yeah,
you know how it is.
Just hanging out, peeps.
Yeah. How was did you get to see anyone at BlizzCon? How was that day? I think you went out.
I didn't really go anywhere. I was seeing what everyone else was up to because I was going to be out yesterday, but I was only out. But I was in Irvine still. I wasn't really in Anaheim, so then I didn't really do anything with anybody.
Yeah. BlizzCon's one of those things where it's just like you have to kind of just message people at night and just kind of be like, "Where's everyone drawing at?" And you may or may not find people. It's so big.
I went and saw Thor. Loved it. It's great.
Dude, I haven't seen a movie in God knows how long. I haven't seen Blade Runner. I haven't seen Thor. I haven't seen, what was the other one? I haven't seen The Foreigner. I haven't seen a lot of movies. I'm trying to think of the last movie I saw. I need to get back into it. I recently watched Cloud Atlas again, and I realized how much I liked that movie.
Oh, you like it? I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I really liked that movie. Like, I know I liked it, but then like Jacqueline watched it and she was confused because we watched it on the plane and she got confused. And I'm like, you should watch it again because it's actually pretty good. And then she watched it again and she's like, wow, I really like that movie. And I was like, yeah, I think it's one of those movies where like I watch it and then I forget how much I like it. Or I think I just like the overall message of that movie, like just in general.
What was the overall message? I don't even remember.
I think the overall message to me is more so just how your actions can kind of ripple through. Like, you may not understand what your actions have moment to moment, but your actions, positive or negative, can kind of have a deep ripple throughout like time and space. It's like that to me is kind of what it talks about. Because like she kind of says that, you know, by each crime and each act of kindness, we birth our future. And the movie kind of even like emphasizes that because every story, how it connects, like depending on what the person did, their actions inspired someone to do something else, and it kind of talks a little bit about that, I think. And it's the idea of this, like, again of living through past lives, that you may have had like a past AJ that may have fell in love with a past Bea, you know, that kind of thing of reincarnation. But I think the biggest thing, I think, it's about choices, like consequences, and how positive consequences, though you may not see the effects of them moment to moment, or, you know, while you're there, but even when you're gone, it can have really positive, like really positive impacts on the world. So I don't know, if you haven't watched it, if you ever only watched it once, it definitely can be like, what the hell. But I'd recommend watching it again if you ever get the chance. It's really long, but I think every time I watch it, like I get a little bit more appreciation for it.
Nope, it's garbage. Yeah,
I mean, it's really hard just because well, first of all, the music is amazing. You're done with the soundtrack. It's such a good soundtrack. Um, but yeah, I just feel like trying to tell that many stories in one is like really hard to
hmm
do. But I think when you keep watching it and you see all the connections, solid connections throughout the movie, you're like, oh, it's actually really really good. I mean, it's probably not like it's not like the best movie ever, but considering the scope they had to do, I thought they did a pretty good job on that movie. Like, I want to watch it again. But I think I'm just waiting for Black Panther. Really, that's all I really care about.
Din, 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 din,
Just waiting for some black
din, din,
actors to
din, din,
go
din, din. Yeah, it's
kill
good.
some. Yeah, right. Run the Jewels. I love that song. I work out to that song all the time.
Yeah, I didn't know who sang that until, or the song until that trailer, and I was like, oh, this is
Oh yeah,
dope.
it's Run the Jewels. It's
The black
Killer
in
Mike.
me was just couldn't help it. I was just like, yeah, get it.
Yeah.
I was just so excited, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm just excited for Ryan Coogler. I mean, that's kind of a big thing. Like the
Ryan
first,
Coogler.
yeah. I mean, having the first black, director for a Marvel movie. I mean, that's
Oh yeah,
doesn't happen very often. So it's obviously,
doesn't happen
one
at
of the
all.
great directors.
This is the first one.
Yeah,
That's what you're
but I
trying to
mean,
get at. Yeah,
minorities in general have been kind of represented in movies and especially superhero movies. So for us to have that, that's a big thing. But I even just trust Ryan Coogler just a lot because I mean he did Creed, he did Fruitvale Station. You ever seen
uh-huh.
Fruitvale Station?
No, I didn't.
Really good movie, in my opinion. And that's the BART. It's a BART station in Oakland where
Uh-huh.
this guy got shot in the back. It's like a really sad story. He did a movie about that, and that's with Michael B. Jordan, obviously.
Yeah, he's got him in all his movies.
Right.
He's to
Um,
that director like Michael Caine is to Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, exactly.
hmm
And then he did Creed, which to me is a really great thing too, because he wrote the story for that and then presented it to uh,
Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, I remember that.
Stallone. Yeah, and he didn't want to do it. He's like, "No, I'm over it. I don't want to do it." But they presented it and then sat down and talked with them, and then he pretty much convinced him to do it. And then obviously it came out really fucking good. And then on top of that, Sylvester Stallone won an award for it. So now he has become the trainer, for Creed. So I was like, the fact that he had that written for a while and was able to kind of, he had to do like multiple meetings just to convince him. So the fact that he kind of grinded that out and convinced him to do it,
hmm
respect to him. So I'm glad he's paid his dues. I think he's made some good movies. I'm really excited to see how it comes out. Plus the costume design in that movie right now, looking
pretty
at the
good.
costume designs, look freaking amazing. I think Carla Ortiz is on it or whatever, but I'm like, I
Mark
can't wait
O'Neller
for the
worked on
art
it, I
book.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I can't wait to see to break down the costume designs because they look freaking good. He's just like you're so on the music. Ding 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 ding.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding,
Stupid.
ding, 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 ding. Yo, everybody in here is black. We gotta play black
Everyone's
music.
black. White guy comes in. Get out of here. What?
Yeah.
No, but I'm a good guy. Get out of here.
Get. Michael B. Jordan dresses up like 5 different characters in the story, like like in Medea.
Medea. Yeah,
Or
watch it.
like-
Watch it. If they have him in there, they have Medea in there. What's his name? What's that guy's name? The red
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry. I would be like, oh, I'm done.
I think Tyler Perry is to black comedies as Adam Sandler is to middle American comedy.
Do you think he just showed up on set and was like, so, like, what am I doing? Like, where do you want me?
It wasn't even casted. He just walks in on set and they're just like,
Because
what are you doing here, man?
He's all the black actors, and
He's
he's like, yo, so
this movie's progressive, right? We're celebrating black actors. He's like,
yeah.
I mean,
Nah.
yeah, we cast a lot of Africans because I mean, this
Then you
takes
see
place in
Morgan
Africa.
Freeman walk by, and you're like, oh, come on, you're gonna cast Morgan? He's like, well, I mean, he has the voice, man. And James Earl Jones.
Everybody
yeah, I mean, he's like-
except for
Except
Tyler
for
Perry.
he's
Ice
like,
Cube's
dude,
on
it's
there.
Mufasa, man. What are we gonna do? We're not gonna cast me,
Yeah.
and you casted Martin Lawrence. Well, I mean, you gotta have the comedy. I mean, what do you?
Wait,
Like, you
that's
just see
what
all
I
these people
do.
just
I
keep
do
walking by.
comedy. They're like, nah, dude, it's fine. And then
Yeah.
They have Will
Dave Chappelle
Smith.
walks by.
No, Will Smith shows up and he's
Oh
dressed
yeah.
up as a old lady. And he's like, "Wait, that's my stick. That's my thing." And he's like,
You're
"Get
like,
out of
no,
here, Tyler
no.
Perry."
You're like that. It just kind of happened, man. Like we're not trying to not put you in the film.
Yeah,
And then you
dude,
see
don't.
Dave Chappelle walk by and Jazz. You're like, are you serious?
Literally every black
Black
actor
actor
and
except for
actress
Tyler
is in
Perry.
this except for Tyler Perry. Ding 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 ding
And
ding
this is
ding
Ryan
ding.
Coogler just keeps on trying to like play it off. Like, nah, dude, it's just it's a
Yeah.
coincidence.
All right. I'm gonna read some of these comments. People writing some stuff. All right. So people are saying, "What's up?" Blade Runner and Thor were amazing. I think Blade Runner was good, but Thor was hilarious. Love your work, man. Appreciate that.
Did
Hey,
you see Blade Runner?
I did.
Did you like
I
it?
felt like Cloud Atlas also was also in part about a really long road to equality, freedom from oppression. I heart RTJ. Wait, what is RTJ? Were we saying something? Is that the director? Good evening.
Uh,
You're writing it.
RTJ?
You're
I don't
drawing these
know.
goals. Yeah, Olivia. What do you mean by RTJ? And what's up, madam? How you been?
Oh, Run the Jewels. Sorry, that's the
Oh, that's
rap
the
group.
song.
That's the song that you're. That's the song that
Yeah,
you're
I don't know the name.
that you're
Yeah,
butchering.
it's. I'm not butchering it. I'm hitting it right on the money, dude.
Yeah, do it again. Do it again. How you do it? Is that Run the Jewels I hear in the background? I
Yeah,
love
I
that
got
song.
it, dude.
You're like that episode of South Park where they do a Guitar Hero and he's playing it, and the guy goes in the back and he goes, "Oh, I love that song." He starts snapping his fingers.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I'm excited for uh, Black Panther. It looks good. Black Panther is gonna be. I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
It had some moments where I thought there's some pretty good writing. The only problem that I have is I don't know what the movie's about. Still, like, and that kind of stuff always worries me if I don't.
Do you know about like the comic book character in general? Like,
Yeah, but that shouldn't matter. I like to try to assume that most of the audiences that they get, um, nobody knows anything about the comics, right?
yeah.
If they were to bank off of if they were to bank off of the fact that people read the comic books to know like what's going on, then none of their movies would have done well, right?
Yeah.
They have to go off of the assumption that the majority of their audience doesn't know a lot about what's going on. But
Yeah.
at the same time, they do recognize that there is a fan base to appease. But I think their approach is kind of like Star Trek, like the newer Star Trek films. Think about like how J.J. Abrams made them like cool, you know. It wasn't that Star Trek, the original TV show, or it wasn't good or had like a lot, but it was just very clear like the demographic, right? And then J.J. Abrams is like, no, we can't do any of this. We gotta make this fun. We gotta make this exciting, you know. And
Well, I'm glad they're not giving away too much stuff though. Like, but I think it's about, to me, what it seems it was about is about the city of Wakanda being hidden for so long and them having all this amazing technology, and
that,
now
yeah, but that's
they want to
not
bring
that's
it
not
out.
telling us what it's about. That's just the premise, right? It's like if I told you Toy Story was all about when you leave the room and the toys come to life, like that's like that's just the premise. As like the story itself, there's more to it. You understand?
Yeah.
So for instance, when
Then
they would
give
show
me
the
what you tell me what you think it's about then. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It just like from the trailers, it just seems like there's a hidden city. It's like El Dorado,
Yeah.
and then like that's it. Like more Michael B. Jordan just has some beef. I don't know why.
Yeah. He's war.
Uh,
Well, yeah. He's the character as warmonger. So yeah, I guess you'd have to know that he's gonna try
that's
to.
what I'm saying. Like
So
maybe there's not enough. Like in a movie trailer, you're not giving that away if you're telling us like the main motivations of the villain and the main motivations of the heroes. You know.
yeah.
Like you're just helping us. I understand when people say, so like for instance, here's a good example to kind of point out like not sharing a lot of information. Right? There's a few good examples. For instance, when they showed Sixth Sense, right? they were like the Sixth Sense. This guy's trying to help this kid who could see dead people, and this kid's going through some psychological trauma because of it. So you can understand the premise, right? Like you understand it's about this kid that can see dead people. Do we believe him or not? And then you can understand the story, which is like, okay, well, how do they handle this? How do they deal with this? This is pretty crazy. Like what would you do if you could see dead people? Do you understand? So you piques your interest on both spectrums. On one, which the premise itself is really fascinating, right? A child who can see dead people, and then on the story, plot-driven aspect of it is how do they overcome this hurdle, right? How does this child deal with it? Like, what's the end result of this? You know, does Bruce Willis' character finally believe him or something like that? Because as an audience member, we're most likely already rooting for this kid to be telling the truth. You know?
So could we say it's about then him becoming king then, since his
Yeah, but
dad
it's
died?
like super generic though, right? Like it's just not enough. But like, see, here's what I'm trying to say. They don't give away the ending of The Sixth Sense, which blew people away. Remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? Like you're just like, whoa, you know. Some people saw it coming, but the majority of people didn't. You know. And another good example, Seven. Seven had like a similar thing going for it, right? And so then like, this guy's being king. Okay, so there's one part that made me interested, which is where he said, like, I think it was like his father or just somebody.
It's his father, that the voice.
Yeah, so I have no idea. There's just some voice, right? And
Mhm.
and this person's just like, it is hard to do good deeds, or if you're king,
Says you're a good
or
man.
yeah,
Hard
you're a
for
good man, and it's hard for a king to be a good man, or something like that, or hard to be a good
yeah.
man and king. Yeah, which is like, okay, so there's some sort of moral um, dilemma that he's going to face. I just don't understand what the predicament might be, or I can't even imagine what it might be. You know, so it might
Yeah.
be superficial in the actual film when we watch it. You know
Fair
what I mean?
enough.
Like it's like if they can't give us a clue, it might not actually be in it. You know?
I guess I would say then kind of think of the plot. I'd be like, this place obviously has it's like event city. They're trying to
Uh,
find it, but they're trying to find I guess the El Dorado or whatever. And this guy just became king, and then that one guy Michael B. Jordan or a warmonger wants to kind of burn it all down. I think it looks like from I forget his story, but I'm wondering if something happened to his village. That's what I'm thinking something happened. If I remember correctly, something happened to his
yes.
village, and now he wants to like take it. I think like he wants to step out of the shadow. He wants to bring their people out of hiding and be like, "Nah, we're gonna take shit over," kind of thing. So I'm not really sure yet.
Yeah, like let me like think about this, right? Like if I were to say I did the movie trailer, unless I had the script and I had some sort of, okay, like this is the moral of the story that we're going to push, y'all, right?
And someone correct us, by the way, too. If they actually know.
Well, no, I'm just going off of just the trailer footage. I'm sure there is a premise, or there's more to just the premise. You know,
Mhm.
um, it's just that in my experience, this is pretty consistent. Where if they don't give you a lot in the trailer, like the same thing happened in The Force Awakens, right? Like the nostalgia just is this nostalgia is strong with everyone, man. Where like it just showed you a lot of cool shots, right? So you're thinking, oh yeah, but when we go watch the film, it's gonna, then it's gonna give us the story that we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
But it really didn't. It didn't have it. It really just hit a little flat. But like even with this latest one, The Last Jedi, right? Like the same. I had the same sentiment. I was just like, yeah, but what's what am I going to expect? But there were moments in this last one that they showed where it's like Rey's predicament of like not feeling like she belongs anywhere. And so it's like, does she join the dark side because she just feels lost? You know what I mean? And that is an interesting plot, right? Because I'm like, oh, okay. Because then now, what if Kylo Ren all of a sudden starts becoming a protagonist instead of an antagonist? That's really fascinating to me.
Didn't someone write to you about that, saying that that would be terrible for like a man or like
Oh, I
something?
think it was Olivia. I think she's hanging out with us right now. Not sure if she's still here.
Yeah.
Well, I think we talked about it a little bit, but I was just like, I didn't see it that way, right? I wasn't like, and I don't think they were going to, in my perspective, I didn't think they were going to undermine her female um, importance or any of that. Like, I just think it was just a character development thing. And I didn't even think that he was going to be the savior either. I think it's just a really interesting dilemma to
So you
have
mean
for
that
one of your
if
main
genders were
characters.
reversed, it wouldn't make a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's just a really interesting dynamic to have the main character, question their allegiance to the Force, right?
Hmm.
Where we're very used to them just kind of coming to their senses. See, with Luke Skywalker, he was just naive, right? Like he knew that the Force was dope, but like he just like, but I gotta save my friends, you know. And but with her, it's more like like where do I belong, dude? You know, it could all end well. Like she could end up coming to her senses, you know, and being the hero of the whole story, which is fine. Yeah. But I don't. What I'm trying to get at is like that's what fascinated me with the latest trailers because it doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you if she does or not. Like you don't get any
Hmm.
idea of if that's what's going to happen in the film. You makes you want to go watch it, right? They just show you a bunch of good shots and clues that this could happen.
Oh
You
shit!
know?
Is Michael in here? Is that you, Michael?
Yeah, I just can't.
Are you far away again with your mic?
Yeah, it's hard to
No,
hear.
the connection's messed up.
Okay.
Setting.
All right.
But
Green screen mic over here. Got a green screen?
yeah, yeah, but like yeah, I that's kind of how I feel about the Black Panther trailers as of now. It doesn't mean that it'll be bad. It just means I'm
No.
very skeptical because if they want audiences to go watch this, especially audiences of a specific demographic, right?
Hmm.
They're gonna have to let them know like what it might be about, not like reveal the plot twist, you know, or the results of the plot, right? Like in some movies they do that, right? They're just like it's like there's a man and he's trying to get with the lady. Oh, guess what? He gets the lady. And it's like the trailer, and you're like, what?
You
you
sound like
know,
South Park.
you're like,
Is the pencil?
yeah, yeah, and you're just there's a man who's
Rob Schneider.
wondering if he's actually the anus of a donkey. Uh-oh, he is, and
Uh-oh.
Comedy.
yeah, and you're just like, what? All right. No, like if you could just pose the question of like, and the conundrum that the main characters will have to face. So okay, so thinking about like the Black Panther um, film, and that if we focus in on, like again, I don't know, like this could actually be in the film, and they might do a great job of this. But if they were like to say, okay, so the idea is that being a good man is great and all, but to be a king and a good man, that's the conundrum. Okay, so what does that mean? So what does he have to do? Right? Maybe he has to kill or exile someone of his own tribe to protect the tribe itself. It could be the Pharaoh and Moses story, right? They're like brothers. You
Yeah, it's
understand?
making difficult decisions that
Yeah.
you can't. Someone's going to be
It's
unhappy.
it's the idea of do I go to war to save my country, right? Or do I stay home with my grandma who needs my help because without me she's hopeless, you know? One instance you save countless lives and potentially even though your impact will be very minuscule, you know? But the cause is a greater cause, right? But your impact is very minor versus saving or being around your grandma in her last days and having the individual intention will be uh, extremely powerful, right? But you would have a very minor effect on society as a whole. Does that make sense?
It's the kill one, save a million, or
Yeah,
save.
or the other one is like the Jewish situation, the Jewish Nazi situation. You're a bunch of people under these underneath the floor panels of a house. Nazis are walking on top. If they hear a sound, they're gonna kill you and everyone in there with you, right? But the situation happens to be that you're holding your baby, and your baby starts to cry. So what do you do? Right? So if the movie like posed like a situation where I can see how that phrase that his father tells him is like going to be a very difficult thing for him to resolve, and they don't tell us how he resolves it, then I'm like, oh man, I have to see what happens. You know, I got to see how this ends up. Like, does he become a good man, or does he stay a good man, or does he become a king? You know, they didn't do any of that. They just showed like him flipping SUVs. I'm just like, all right, cool, bro.
While playing
Like,
your favorite song.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're just like missing potentially. They may have like the final trailer release. Like this might not be the last one. There might be one more. I'm not sure. And that's the one where they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, the movie has a badass story. Come watch. Like or a very simple plot that goes with all this amazing.
They're just
action.
hiding Bucky.
Yeah. Because I think if they just go mostly focus on culture, I don't think it's going to do as well as they might think. You know, like
That makes I can see that.
you understand? Like you got. I mean, even Medea movies have a plot. You know,
Do they though?
they do. They might not be good, but like you understand what you're getting into, dude. You know, like you understand there's some sort of very
the time it's in the title?
superficial.
Medea Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I haven't seen any
Happy
trailers,
Hannah.
so I can't comment on that one.
All I know is it's funny when she's like running from the zombies in the trailer, and there's like a zombie like doing backflips and like like sprinting doing backflips, and I'm
But
like,
see, like what those movies do, right? So they show like hilarity and just ludicrousness, right? And then they always will pop like a moment where Medea is like, "But you got to remember to stay with family, because no matter what happens to you," and then it's like this like stronger, larger message in this moment, and then they play like black gospel music that gets you like, "Oh damn, this shit might be actually a little deep at some moment," you know, and that's kind of my point, you know. That at least the Tyler Perry movies understand that very simple, like you got to have a moral to the story that makes people like at the end of the movie feel a little bit educated. So for instance, like even the Thor movie, even though it was like mostly a comedy, there was a underlining tone of like story, you know. And if you think about it, like I don't want to spoil it because it's still fresh in theaters. But
Yeah.
like, if I were to just tell you what it was, you'd be like, "Oh, okay, I understand that," you know. And you could understand then the motivations of all the characters of the movie. You can understand the choices that were made, even if they were crazy or out of the world, out of this world. You know, you can at least understand what they were trying to teach you as an audience member. Because I think good films do that. Good films have some sort of, and that's why you don't smoke, kids. You know. And then great films say that's why you don't smoke, but remember, like this larger point, you know, and it makes you think a little bit more beyond that superficial moral of the story, you know. That's why stories like The Boy Who Cried Wolf stood the test of time. The Hansel and Gretel, right? Like don't eat too much candy because you'll get murdered. You know.
What is Hansel and Gretel about again?
Yeah, like they go and eat like a house full made out of candy, right?
Right?
And then the witch like ends up like eating them, and so the moral was basically like stay away from eating too many like sugary foods
Wait,
or bad foods.
I thought-
by candy.
I thought the moral was be afraid of strangers.
No, like that's the Red Riding Hood and the wolf,
Oh.
right? Well, most of them are pretty much don't trust strangers, and they're just like using every circumstance. I think you're right. I think it was probably the majority of its premise. Yeah, I think you're right. But
I think it was like go to bed when I tell you to go to bed.
yeah, but they were just using every scenario that a child would be like allured towards, and be like, yeah, but guess what? You know, you'll get murdered. Because there was no other way to tell children to like calm the hell down, you know. Because children would be wandering out in the woods and actually be eaten by wolves, so they had to like make up stories. And so,
Here's a story.
Oh yeah.
He went into
Back
the
in
wood.
day.
He got eaten by a wolf. So don't do it.
yeah, the boy who cried wolf, like wolves just are real, dude. Real wolves don't play around, man. They eat children. So anyway, yeah, like I think when people say, like for instance, the Blade Runner movie, right? Like people were really furious, and we've talked about this a lot already. I don't want to comment on this too much, but what we can do actually is like talk about the stuff we were talking about before the stream started about the game
Oh.
studios because
Yeah,
it's
game-
related.
Yeah, that's in Michael. That's in your town, Michael. Where you at?
What? What's that?
The game studio's
I missed
shutting
that.
down, bro.
Which studio?
You don't know?
What's up? I was in the shower, man. I missed
Yeah.
the.
Just in the shower for 2 days.
I was in the
Wait, 2
shower.
days.
for
I
3
know.
days.
Like you gotta name it. Maybe I'll recognize.
Well, you should
Well-
probably know. Next thing you know, he's like, he's
well-
trying to apply there. He shows up and he's like, "Where's everybody?"
One of my students was trying to apply there, and then I was trying to help him out, and then he's like, "Oh, never mind."
I like how you guys still haven't told me. The
Yeah,
name.
don't
They're not gonna
well-
tell you just so you apply there and then you
So-
just show up.
So before I get into like, it was the same
It's not
criticism I
visceral, is
had,
it?
huh?
It's not visceral, right?
No, Visceral is that's not in Seattle.
I don't know what's in Seattle.
What? Don't you
You
want
got-
a working game?
I'm trying to move to California. I ain't worried about Seattle.
Okay,
Oh,
you
dang.
still no, because what if a good position comes up in Seattle and then you
The
can say
place
No.
I would want to work in Seattle is Bungie.
No
That's
new
okay.
friends, Kalen.
no new friends, man.
dude.
You gotta get your broaden your horizons.
All right, get on with your story.
All right. Anyways,
Peasants.
it's the gigantic developer Motiva, and Ruinant Games closed down. So there's a lot of
That's
good
it.
artists there. But anyways, so
That sucks.
yeah, it
Yeah,
sucks.
it
And then
does suck.
Visceral, obviously in the Bay Area where I live, they closed down, which sucks even more because that's like right next to me. I know a lot of people that work there, and they are talented motherfuckers. And
Do you think the studio's closing is more or less than it used to be?
I think it's the
Hasn't
same.
that always been a
It's just
problem?
the internet.
I think it's
everything a little
internet,
bit more.
probably. I mean, you gotta
makes everything a
imagine-
little bit more compounded.
yeah,
Yeah,
video game.
that's
boom.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, it might be larger, but it might be like a misdirect of a statistic. For instance, there's just more game companies in general, so there's just more likely to have
Yeah,
more
yeah.
closings, right? You know, like when there's only like 2 game studios in the world and one closed, that's a big deal. Like half the game companies literally have closed, you know? But like
Yeah.
now you have like hundreds, like what, Steam like releases thousands of
Yeah.
like games a year, like or like a month or something. It was something crazy. It was like 3,000 something games like a year, and that's insanity. It's like 10
Making
games a day,
has
pretty
become
much.
a lot easier where
Yeah.
a small team can make a game. So
Well, the fine print of that number is that there are some companies taking advantage of the system and copying assets to make really shitty, like bad games, just to
Or
like
really-
populate.
Really cool games like
It's like a-
PUBG.
PUBG, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a spectrum of that.
No, you're not entirely wrong. But like what I'm trying to get at though, we were talking about this a little bit before. And oh hey, what's up, Matt? Hold on, there's some people. Oh, you gotta say hi to some folks. Oh no. As a person who aspired to be an instructor but fizzled and having followed you, I am excited about digital art again. Found you through my boy Moulin. I love Moulin. Yeah, liking that. Doing that.
Oh god.
Nice to hear you while I'm working on my final assignment at university. Yeah, good luck, man. Keep
There you
working
go.
out. I hate the temp music in Blade Runner 2049. Worked in Sicario and Arrival, but it's unfit for its genre. Yeah, we were laughing about it last night. I felt like Hans Zimmer is just like he was just sitting on that blowhorn. But anyway, I like the movie though, so I just understand why it didn't do well. So we were talking about the same thing just moments ago about like these companies, right? So, like I was making the comment of like, you know, it sucks, you know, that this happens, but it's and then Kalen was making the comment of like, well, you know, like this sucks for stylized games, you know, like these games that have like this, like specifically with gigantic that has this really amazing aesthetic and it's really beautiful, which is all true. But I said, well, what does that have to do with making a good game, though? You know, because there's other games that are very stylistic, and not to say that the game was awful, but it just was not going to be competitive
Yeah.
with some of the games already out.
Game mechanics are always first.
Yeah,
Gotta be fun first.
like Impossible, the
Yeah.
Impossible game is like nothing to it artistically, and it's like one of the most
It's
popular
addicting.
games. Tetris, what the Tetris?
Citrus?
Yeah, Tetris, right? Another
Flavored
good
water?
example. Yeah, where it's just straight up, it's just straight up blocks. It's like one of the most classical games ever, and like yeah, a lot of mobile games are just straight up puzzle games. You know, that have no thematics to them. It's just blocks
Flappy
and
Bird.
shapes, and numbers and buttons. You know, um, but like there's definitely some value to having some thematic, uh, like some theme to your project. But I mean, to say that it's a hit for stylistic games, I don't think is fair either. Because I can name a few. Like for instance, Cuphead just came out, and that did extremely well. You know,
That's true.
there is the game Inside, I think is the name of it.
Yeah, Inside. One Gen Z works on too from their company.
Yeah, there's some, man. They're kicking butt, dude. And League of Legends has a very similar aesthetic and style. Uh, but see, the thing is that what they did was they focused on gameplay first, right? Because they basically just stole all the WoW assets and just made a game around them, right?
Yeah.
Or not the
art was
WoW
great,
assets,
and
the Warcraft 3 assets, sorry. And then they gained so much popularity and so much love that they were able to finally bring on new talent and create original artwork. Now it's theirs. It's their game. They may have started off like as like just a really glorified mod, but it's far from that now. And I think PUBG will have a very similar
That's-
trajectory.
That's how PUBG started.
Yeah,
But isn't Fortnite that thing now?
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
What do you mean?
like
You mean the
the
battle royale stuff?
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, Fortnite isn't Fortnite kind of like PUBG, except now it's just stylized, like it has art direction.
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah. I don't know
They're
what's
getting
going
more
on with
success
that.
from that than the actual game that they were building from the get go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's
Well,
going
I
on
don't know
with
if
that.
PUBG didn't make it, but I'm just saying like PUBG is now like that same kind of version of that game mechanic. Same game mechanic now. It just has like nicer art.
Well, and it's more optimized. That's the main thing people like about that one is if you play PUBG on PC, it runs like trash. Like no matter how good your computer is. So when you load up Fortnite, it's like smooth. Like the gameplay just works because they know what they're doing. And on that, recently they just announced that the Xbox version is coming, I think, in December.
Uh-huh.
So
Saw that.
everyone's speculating that the PC development team like had to stop what they were doing to push for the Xbox version faster because Fortnite is already on the consoles and they were losing market share. So all the people in charge with the money are like, no, we need Xbox.
Yeah,
That I think that happened to
People are mad about it.
Gigantic. They had to make it for a different platform that they weren't ready for. They weren't
Mhm.
planning for. They had to like remake their game, so it put them back like a year or
Mm.
something like that, and they kind of just snowballed, which can kind of suck. But that's kind of like a developer issue.
So that brings me to the other point of bad management and bad just a concave of reactionary moves. Reacting more than being proactive, right? Having short sight, not foresight. Like we've experienced this on multiple occasions. Like we've experienced this with our first studio that we worked with.
Yeah.
Right. We're
Pivot.
we're experiencing. We experienced it through my Kickstarter, right? And I think also with the other Kickstarter that you were involved with, right? It's just really challenging, to be
Yeah.
like to think that you have all the plans ahead of time. You just can't predict. And so that's why I've become more and more of a fan of like make something, and then put it on the market. Like right now, like that's kind of what me and some of my colleagues have talked about, like about early access stuff. And like very similar sentiment. Like even though it says early access, because that's what PUBG is, right?
Yeah.
People treat it like it's a fully released game,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, and it's unfortunate because as people who've worked in development, we understand that when you're still in development, the game can kind of change entirely. But the problem with that is that once you've given it to people and they're like they fall in love with whatever like shitty mechanics that you just don't want anymore, right? Like it's like a double edged blade. It's like a damned if you do and damned if you don't situation, right?
Yeah.
Because
If
your
you wait
game
too
is
long to release
internally
it.
broken. You need to change it, right? But people have adapted and loved your broken ass game, you know. And so you're like, well, if we make changes, like they will appreciate our changes because it does make the game better. But maybe you remove that one little notch that like a group of players like really loved. Like we love that glitch though, you know. And like, but it's you have to understand that it's like breaking the game. There's a lot of people who are stopping, and then these same people are like complaining that it's like, well, whatever. Who cares about those people? It's like you don't see the numbers, man. We see them. Like we're losing tons of players because of this one thing, And then the people who fight back are just the most vocal,
Yeah.
right? And it makes the game look bad. It makes it look like they don't listen to their community, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's like this really damning situation. And so I'm sort of against like early access games a little more, and then I'm also against like funded before you actually have a thing, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, we're still working on that game, but then it's like when we got funded, we had to pivot to put it on different. We had to use a different engine, and then that kind of just created a whole bunch of problems that now
yeah,
we're
dude.
kind of just playing catch up, and it sucks. But I mean,
Because
I think the
imagine if the
biggest
game
thing
just
is
was
that
done and you just released
yeah,
it and it was a success, right? Or not a
yeah,
success. Like
and
it just really is simple then,
yeah,
right? Like if it doesn't do well, then you just say, "Oh well, let's try again." If it does really well, then it's done. You work on to the next one, move on to the next thing. You know?
yeah. It's hard when it's your baby, and that's why I understand where John's kind of coming from in terms
Yeah,
of like just taking kind of like a long time. But I mean, I think I think the biggest thing, the biggest part to what John Reed does is that he's just very upfront with people.
yeah,
He's kind of like,
that's
"Hey,
important.
this is what happened," and he's always kind of trying his best to stay in contact with people, with like the people that have supported him, and said like, "Hey, this is what's happening. That's what I'm trying to do. Like, I know it's going to take a lot longer, but I'm confident you know, this will help, and this and that, and this and that, and then kind of go from there." So, but yeah, it's double edged sword. I mean, it's especially like Kickstarter stuff. It can be hard. Like I even funded one that I didn't even get it, and I'm kind of just like, I guess that's what
It's
happens.
it's very common actually. There is one of my students. I guess he was being paid through the Kickstarter, right? And he was told that he was supposed to get paid, and I guess the developer just never paid him. And
Yeah,
I
It's messed up.
yeah, and I told him though, like I was like, as someone who's gone through this, I can tell you right now that he's most likely has no money. He ran out. He didn't
yeah,
foresee certain things. He might have had some life issues. Maybe he's overspent. There's a lot of things that could have factored into this. But the fact that he stopped answering your calls means he's run dry, right? And that's exactly what's going on, dude. Like, and the fear of like admitting that is very very hard. And I told him, he's like, trust me, man, I know. Like I know exactly what's happening, and I was like, you don't have to flip out either on him though. Like I was like, don't worry. Like some people truly flip out on this stuff. It's like the best way to do this is to be really sincere, right? And be like, look, I understand that you may have um, overstepped your bounds, right? But it is important that you do pay me,
but
right,
if
for
you
the
don't
work that
pay
I
me,
did, because that work that I did helped you get that money in the first place, you know.
yeah,
And I trusted you and all this good stuff. And I understand if maybe you don't have it all on hand, but you can do payments. We can work this out. We can figure this out. And I said, and if it doesn't respond to that, then go public with it, man. It's like that works because that's what worked with me. People came out and like
I thought you
really
were gonna
like,
say like break his legs.
no, dude.
Yeah, I would have said break his legs.
Oh, okay, do that
And you
too.
send me. Just kidding.
Because you really don't know what's going on with the person, right? They might really have had some stuff. And
Well, you'll know his legs are broke.
oh, damn.
I'm sorry.
Oh, geez, savage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Savage, dude.
violent person.
But
I'm coming.
yeah, but
But
you
yeah,
understand.
I totally get what you mean. That it's life. Life happens, and
Yeah.
if you yell at someone, chances are they're not going to respond to it. But if you're usually pretty sincere and kind about it, like that can happen.
There's an opportunity for a conversation to continue. So,
Yeah, like it happens to
Yeah.
Larry with his podcast. Like people will like write Larry some like really just like inflammatory like shit. They'll just be like, "Yo,
Why?
like, what are you doing?" And then so like I'll be like,
Wait,
"Dude,
why?
well, no, just because sometimes they'll talk about like controversial subjects, and then he'll say something that someone doesn't agree with, and people will just write. People will just write to his podcast and be like, and just write like some kind of stuff that's like pretty rude and just not like in a very like I'm trying to debate with you. It's more like
Uh-huh.
like you're an idiot kind of situation. And of
Uh-huh.
course, like the first thing you want to think about is like, how can I clap back? You know, when you clap at someone, when you go, is this what we doing? Okay.
Oh, this is what we doing
Here
right
the
now?
fuck we go. Here the fuck we go. Here it
You
comes.
flip
And you
a-
start typing, right?
Flip an SUV.
Here we go. Here the fuck we go, right? But of course, Larry, because he's just a nice guy, he's just like, okay, this person is obviously very like, you know, like passionate about what he's talking about, and he always kind of just says, okay, I get it, like I understand where you're coming from. And he writes very like very well thought and respectful, and then what happens is the person usually writes back, and they're like, yeah, sorry, dude. Like, sorry about getting a little bit over.
People
Like, sorry for writing that.
People try to dehumanize others, so that they can feel better about their insults.
Yeah.
You know, and so with that being said, I do think President Trump is an idiot.
Oh god, we're going on this fucking rabbit hole.
No,
now?
I'm just saying because I've gone on record saying that, and I have not swayed. Like, it is possible to call people how they are, man, and
No,
and
that's
not
fine.
necessarily be mean about it. It's just the facts, dude. Like, we have that word for a reason, man. Like, he truly is an idiot, and you know, I think in other instances, I wouldn't use that word. I just generally wouldn't. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, that makes
unless I truly believe it, yeah. And so, like, I was talking to somebody about it too, because I used to debate people all the time. And I was like, look, I understand you appreciate his policies. I understand even your criticisms of people who are
Previous people.
or who are just trying to slander him, right? I understand all that. But what does that have to do with him not being an idiot? You know, and you must understand that there's some danger there, right? I remember I convinced one person because I was telling him, I was like, you know, like, he can just launch nukes, right? And they were under the impression that's not that easy. Like, there's a lot of steps, right? Like, you have to do a bunch of stuff. Like, he can't just be launching them, you know? And I'm like, no, like, if you look it up,
Yeah.
like, it's law. Like, he can just say, nope. Like, you know what? I'm not feeling good today. Like, just nuke Twitter, nuke their corporation. and they can just do that. And, well, maybe not that extreme. Maybe they would tackle him then and be like, oh, he's delusional or something. But
It's like sending a DM to a hot chick, you know? It's like, yeah, you can do it. Just do it, dude.
yeah, it's crazy
Some
how
of the staff have gone on record saying that in a case like that, they're prepared to tackle the president.
yeah, they're gonna have to do something like almost.
Wait, like what is Tapperman gonna do? Like, can't he sell?
I don't know, like that.
I don't
maybe
know,
there's a
man.
figure
It's
of speech, but
so the point
they're,
is
like,
is that
serious.
he can.
What's
and-
gonna light him up like a running back?
they're gonna break his legs.
well, the defense of why this is like real. So like there was a time where like when the nuke was just invented, and like signing the orders to launch nukes was just like just any other order. You understand? Like, so like I think it was Truman, right? And like he was just sitting there, and they're like, all right, you know, we gotta bomb Japan, like, just sign this document, just like, write your initials here, and he's like, all right, got it. And then they would nuke him, and then he's like, all right, great, we got him. He's like, yeah, we did some significant damage. He's like, all right, cool. What's next? He's like, well, we're gonna bomb him again. Just sign this right here. And it's okay, great. And so he did that again, and then footage of the damage started coming back, and then he saw it,
He's like,
and
damn.
he was like, wait, what? And he was like, oh yeah, like that's what we did. We nuked them. He's like, what do you mean nuked? What does that mean? Explain to me what it means. He's like, oh yeah, like total devastation
He's
and
like, it
like
means that
destroying
video.
of the environment, like radioactivity for weeks, yo.
Yeah,
I'm
they
like,
don't want to play.
wait, that sounds like the apocalypse. And he's like, yeah, we're trying to win a war here. And he's like, yeah, we're not trying to like destroy a whole freaking culture. Um, and so after the war was over, um, there was like genuine talks about like how to deal with like the actual launching of nukes. Like there was this really cool idea that was thrown around where they like would like tattoo the codes on like someone you loved's heart or something crazy, and then like so if you had to like launch the code, you would have to kill like your brother or something crazy.
That's a
Obviously, they
terrible
didn't
idea.
go with that, but the idea would be if you're willing to kill someone you truly love, to then kill hundreds of thousands of people, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people at the same swift of a pen. And then there's something very poetic about that, right? It goes back to kind of like the Black Panther, like it's hard to be a good man and king, right? And
That's
so
terrible. I gotta wake up every day wondering if Ed is gonna kill
it's
me.
a cool movie idea for sure, for damn sure. But
That's
like,
already, that already happened. It's like the it's that button movie with the button where it says like you press this button and some random person will
You get a
die,
wish.
but then you get like stuff. What's the movie called? Do you know?
there's Death Note, which is very similar. But anyway,
I don't know what it's called.
getting to the point, so we can talk about something else. The idea is that they ended up landing on was just like, no, we just have executive power. And their defense for this was that people of other nations need to know that if they do something that we do not deem great, then we can just nuke them. There's no, because like whenever we pass any laws, even like doing any military strike or drone strikes, there's a lot of paperwork that gets involved and it takes time. You know, they wanted a nuke to not be that way. Like they wanted it to be basically nuclear deterrence was that nuking would be really easy. Does it make sense? And I understand that argument. I really do. But it's just like, well, okay, cool. Then can we get someone that's like clearly not like unhinged and a moron, like will not have that much power? Because that's really, really scary.
So now our our solution is to have
People
a
tap
cornerback
him.
ready to light him up as soon as he
What
wants
was
to do
it?
it.
What was that one? Terry Owens.
Yeah, dude. So we got someone from the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, like
Yeah.
to get ready to light him up. Like,
What was the office linebacker again? What was that? It
Yeah,
was
offensive
T-Pain?
linebacker.
Or not T-Pain.
Say T-Pain. He's auto-tuned, just tackling people. It's shit. I did an animation for that. That's my animation file. Office linebacker. What's his name?
Yeah, who was the
It's a Terry Tate. Sorry,
Terry Tate?
I
The
love
T-Train, that's what it was.
T-Train.
Yeah.
You just go, whoa!
Yeah.
He just
They
light.
just gotta hire him and just have him walking
There needs
around
to
with
be
the
an
football.
office linebacker at every studio for like HR concern. If you mess up, do something stupid, someone just
Yeah.
lights you up, and then you want to do it again. I'll tell you that much.
But yeah, anyways, back to the conversation with Larry though, our friend. Yeah, I think other than very obvious situation, like there's gonna be situations where I feel like you got to call a spade a spade. You know what I mean?
You gotta clap back.
Yeah, where I think that's
Caps.
justified. You know, people flip out like, and there's just no turning back. Then you gotta like, all right, well then,
He say, "Here we go. Here the fuck we go."
yeah, I give people a lot of benefit of doubts, man. You know, But
you have to. You never know what someone is going through at that particular time when they write the message. But
yeah,
like I said, I mean, I even asked Larry. I was like, man, Larry, if it was me, I would clap him back a little bit. Nah, man, like, you gotta just. He's like, because what he said was really ingenious. Was like, that's a chance to gain a new follower. You know, if you just write, if you kind of engage in their on their ground and just being disrespectful, it's very easy to like. It's not gonna solve anything. But if you try to obviously kind of not sort of kill him with kindness, but like
yeah,
gain a
sure.
new follower. And that person, I think wrote back and was like, yeah, man, I'm a bit of follower and I'm still a follower. Like I appreciate that.
What was the controversy?
I don't
If you don't
remember.
mind me
I don't
asking.
remember. I can't remember what it was. He had just mentioned it to me that he was like what are you doing? He's like, I'm writing this email. Like some person's like really mad at me. I was like, what? Like for your podcast? Like, what's it about? I forget. It was some topic or something like that they were talking about, and then someone just happened to write an email, and it's happened before too. Um, on his podcast, people were just like, "Oh, you're irresponsible" or whatever. Or people just want a platform to complain, and or they want to express
We
their
should
opinion.
reach
That's
out to
totally
Larry.
fine.
I'd love to get back on the podcast. I want to talk about that controversy.
Yeah, um, you're gonna get more hate mail,
Nah, dude, bring
but
it.
I probably shouldn't use the word hate mail. It's just people just write things of just like, what do you
People that
like?
have
Just disagree strongly, and it's
yeah,
kind of and the way that and again you can't tell someone's tone when they write something, but
that's
I
true.
assume these emails are kind of the emails that we get sometimes from like the book stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
all
we
right,
get really
I
aggro.
get that you
Yeah.
are upset, and we are trying to make this better. And I mean, because that happened with the book thing, where it's like, remember I was doing some of the replying for you, and it's like, what the. Where's my book? And it's like,
Yeah.
hey, sorry, what's your email? What's your address? Oh, it's right here.
No, I think
Cool,
yeah,
I'll send
most
it out.
people generally calm down after we've talked to them. There was one person. There's only one person that I can think of who like literally threatened to beat me up if he saw me again, or he didn't say that specifically, but he said if he sees me, like he hopes he never meets me, or he hopes that if we encounter each other in real life, better watch out, something along those lines.
You're not that small.
That's a threat.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like, hey, dude, and then he blocked me, and then I wasn't able to rebut, and I was like, okay, well,
I wish someone would say it
hopefully,
to Larry because I don't think some people don't know how big Larry is.
dude, like, he is
It's like,
massive, dude. He would
that's like-
destroy them.
well, I'm just saying, some people write some stuff to him, and I'm kind of like, I don't think y'all know, like, y'all be some keyboard warriors because I'm pretty sure you would not say that shit to his face. Because
Yeah, absolutely.
that dude could play in the NFL. like,
He's
like you ever played basketball
enormous.
before? You ever like threw a basketball to someone that could dunk? Like, you ever thrown alley oops before? It's crazy. That's Larry. You're like, I could throw an alley oop, and this guy will dunk it. Like, that's how big that dude is.
Have you ever looked at somebody and then realized where the myths of giants came from, and then the answer to that question was solved when you met that person?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Larry. He's made of
Okay,
giants.
to give you an example of how big Larry is, like how big and buff he is. I don't know if you don't want football, but Clay Matthews, he did a commercial. He's a defensive player for the Green Bay Packers. There was for Call of Duty, he did a commercial where he was like an intern at Sledgehammer Studios. And so he's like this big guy, but he's obviously that's kind of the joke that he's like this big buff guy, but he's an intern at Sledgehammer, like doing mailroom and stuff like that. Well, apparently they finally they're like, oh, we should see who's taller, see who's bigger, and they put Larry next to Clay Matthews, who's a very scary dude on the football field, and Larry was bigger. And so I'm like, oh shit, like
Yeah, Larry's
Larry
huge.
could play in the NFL. I think he tried out for like a local
He's a gentle
like
giant
team.
though.
Yeah, gentle giant. But yeah, I'm just saying, like some people write some things. I'm kind of like, if you were in their face, I don't think you say that. That's like me writing shit to like Marco Neller and being like, if I see you in these streets, Marco, and then I see him in person, I'd be like, oh shit.
I think if Marco Neller just flexed, you would feel it.
Yeah,
You'd,
he
like punch
flexes
across the screen,
and then like my heart stops.
Your heart stops.
Like he flexes and I get choked out somehow.
Yeah, Marco's
How
huge
do you
too.
choke me
Yeah.
out?
Who else is a big dude? Freaking.
Manny's pretty kind of
Yeah.
Manny from DreamWorks or CGMA. He's pretty built dude. Like I would want to get in a chokehold with that guy. Trying to think who else is like big.
Dave Wilkins. He's
Oh
also
yeah,
pretty
there you go.
massive. Yeah.
Carlo. Carlo. Not only does he know like mixed martial arts, but he knows like blade work. He knows how to use blades and like swords and arrows. So that's a guy I would never fuck with. that I would never read some stuff too.
Yeah.
And Carlo's still like buff too. Like he still like has like that. The way he walks is still he has kind of like that. Like I'm like my chest is big, so I have to like swing my arms a little bit more. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't mess with that guy.
Yeah. I'm curious. Should hit him up. Join his stream or his talk podcast. Glad that he's still doing it. That's great.
No, he's doing good with it. He's got his little. He's always making moves. You know, he's always doing stuff. Yeah, he's like the example that I always look to. I'm like, I should be like as like always like benefit of the doubt and as nice as Larry. That's what I try to do.
I think
Otherwise, clap him back.
yeah, I think it's a security thing, right? Because he knows
He can't afford it. He knows he can kill someone. Like he has to be nice.
Yeah, like he knows he can murder people, and because of that power comes great responsibility.
I think you're right. That's what it is.
Like he
It's great
knows
power.
that, like he's just like I shouldn't get upset because when this goes south and the authorities show up and there's just a pulp of meat on the ground next to me, yeah, I'm going to jail, dude. You know. And
That
then-
happened one time actually. I forget where.
Of course it did, man.
I
Larry.
think we're at a club and someone was trying to like either start shit with me or somebody else, and then I think like it had someone like dancing on someone's girl that we didn't. It was just some beef some guy had with one of us. I remember Larry walked up and was like, "Hey guys, are you cool?" It's just like he's like smiling though,
Yeah,
and
that's
the guy
funny.
was like, "Yeah, we're good," and he's like, "Yeah, man, like I'm just making sure we're good." And I was like, "Dude, this is awesome."
It is like you should see the images of Floyd Mayweather and his bodyguards. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah, he's like tiny compared to his body. His bodyguards are like giant tree trunks, like literally meat shields. Like if someone was trying to like shoot at him, they would have to go through like hundreds of pounds of just human security, you know. And I thought that's interesting because Floyd Mayweather can like beat the shit out of people, like literally. You know, that's his
But
job.
remember that he is like 5 something. He weighs like
But
110
yeah,
pounds.
he knows the importance of just having people that are like he could not beat those people up, even though he's
Yeah,
like
because they could just literally sit on you.
yeah
They could fall on you. They just fall on you. You're
yeah like if Julian, my son, became like an MMA fighter at the age of 6, I'd still be able to destroy him.
yeah,
Yeah,
knee him in the back.
because just the sheer weight and size, right? It's the same. That's the same reason why we have weight classes, right? You don't have the heavyweights go against the welterweights, I believe it's called.
Well, no, back in the day they didn't in the UFC. Those were the glory days when there wasn't weight classes.
Or just people
Just
who get
be
murdered.
like, I think people probably did die, but there were some times where there were like some straight juggernaut looking dudes like fighting some small like like Japanese like martial art guy, and he's just like it's like literally like Shadow of the Colossus, like it's like an hour fight. And he's like trying to take him down, like he's trying to get his punches in, like he's so slow when he swings, it's like literally Shadow of the Colossus. And like back then, like the rounds like were just super long, so it literally was just like you just had to watch this fight go down, and you're like David and Goliath. He's like trying to pick his shots, and he knows that like if he gets grabbed, he's done for. Those are the good old days, man. It's like pure strategy. It's like real life.
Yeah, you hear about the story of David and Goliath, though, that David was actually the one that had the advantage.
Yeah, because the guy had bad eyesight and had the I forget.
Well,
what's
yeah,
his
like
face?
he might have had a
Not gonna lie,
disability. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he also was going against like a master slingsman, and so
Yeah.
it's like if you can have the guy who plays the mountain in Game of Thrones going
Yeah.
against a sniper, he's gonna lose. You know, it doesn't matter how big he is, you can't beat a bullet to the head. You know, you can even take just someone who's like very moderately skilled with a rifle, and they can take down like the mountain. You know, it's the disadvantage of the weapon, the tool.
That's what happened tonight, dude. GSP, man. He hasn't fought 4 years, and he beat Michael Bisping. And Michael Bisping is this guy that he's a good fighter, but he relies a lot on kind of natural ability and just cardio. And GSP is an older guy, but even though he was tired, he was smart with his punches and just had like he was a more intelligent fighter. And even though like the guy had way more cardio, way more whatever, he eventually caught him and knocked him out. And he talked about it. He's like, yeah, dude, like intelligence. He's like, I put these traps out for him to lure him in, and I got him. He's like, I knew how to pick my shots. Like intelligence, man, technical skill will trump it every time.
Yee. Did Mika ever end up showing up for the? Is she in here?
No.
We invited her. I don't think she showed up. Could you see if she's still down to hang out? Maybe it's super late for her where she's from. I think that's probably what it
Oh,
is.
she joined the Discord at 10.
I tagged her.
Not in the chat.
Maybe she doesn't know how to do it. I don't know.
She's like, screw these guys.
Yeah, maybe. All right, I'm gonna stop here anyway. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. Good talks. Peace out, y'all. Have a great day, great evening, and the rest of your weekend, homies. I'm gonna go ahead and end it for the Twitch folk. Wait, yeah, the Twitch folk first. Latest Twitch folk, and then latest Facebook folk, and then latest YouTube folk.